Hey, my name is Christopher Parham here at Lipo Connection Solutions, and you're watching this video because you're saying that your power supply is too loud. I designed these power supplies to have the fan ramp up when the load gets above a certain point. So after 10 or 15 amps, the fan automatically ramps up to top speed. Now, I do this to ensure the longevity of the power supply because sometimes my power supply is put in applications that it wasn't intended to be, such as confined locations where there isn't a lot of air movement and stuff. So this protects the power supplies and protects me as a seller to prevent returns for failures due to overheating and such like that. So we can overcome this by doing something simple that you can do it in your home. You don't have to send the unit back, but we will be defeating a safety purpose, a safety feature that I wouldn't say I designed, but I'm taking advantage of in the unit. And so what we're going to do is, if you look at your unit, you'll have some pins like this, and you'll see two jumpers installed. What you want to do is remove those jumpers and keep mindful of the location that they are. And then you want to take those pins, count up one row, take that pin and bend it down towards the pin that's on the bottom row. And then you want to take that first pin in the bottom left hand corner again and bend it up towards the pin that we just bent, and we want to make a connection that where it closes in like this and where they're resting on each other, and the tension of the metal should keep those in contact. Then there's one more pin that we want to bend. You start in the bottom left hand corner, you count up one row and you count over one row. Take that pin and bend it towards the other pin, the other pins that we just bent together, and it should make a little TP, and you should have three wires that are three wires that are pushed together, and they look like this, how my fingers are put together. So here's how it should look when you have all three of those pushed together. And so by doing that, what we have done is one of those pins enables the unit to come on, and then the other pin forces or grounds the fan pin to where it's forced at a low speed. And to make sure everything works, when you plug it in, you're gonna look at the back of the unit. The top and bottom light should be green. If they're not, then check the way the pins are and make sure they're all touched, and make sure those three pins are touching together. Once you do that, the top and the bottom light should be lit. Also, the fan should be at a low speed, and it should stay at a low speed and not ramp up. Now, this is okay if you are using the units and you plan to pull like maybe up to 30, maybe 40 amps from it. You can use the units like this with the low fan speed, but if you're pulling a lot of power at the maximum rating of 62 amps, then you need to leave the unit alone as is, because it's going to be, one of the things, it's going to be hard to find a power supply that doesn't have a fan in it. There's no such thing as a passively cooled power supply. Every power supply has a fan in it. It just depends on how efficient it is to where it needs a lot of airflow or it doesn't. These are pretty efficient. They're 99% power factor corrected, but when you have at idle, these units consume about 20 watts, and I'm not sure if you felt a 30-watt soldering iron when you have heat and it's building up in a certain location. It can get really hot if there isn't enough airflow to flow across it. So so these waste 20 to 25 watts at idle, and so the fan can keep up with that. Even at 10 amps, 15, 20, 30 amps, it can kind of keep up and remove enough heat to keep the power supply stable. But whenever you start getting to the higher amps, that waste heat becomes higher. So instead of it being 25 amps being drawn at idle, 25 watts being drawn at idle, it goes up to 100 watts. And again, I'm not sure if you've ever touched a 100-watt iron, it will burn you. So, all electronic things, they either have the design built in to where Um, they cool themselves, or they can dissipate heat at a certain rate. And when you hear the fan ramp up, that's how it sounds in the computer server that it comes from. You know, when these come out of if you ever been into a server room where there's a lot of computer servers, they have two of these in there, and if it's a fully loaded server, these are running full tip with the fans spun up as loud as they are. These produce very clean power, and they're very robust. But you got to keep in mind that we are defeating the purpose, uh, defeating the design of what keeps them cool. And if you say it's too loud, then you obviously have a powerful charger, and if it's kicking on the fan, you obviously have a powerful charger, and you need a powerful power supply. And again, like I said, there isn't too many power supplies on the market that doesn't have a loud, annoying fan to keep things cool. Because if these power supplies can dim lights and make lights flicker and stuff, they're pulling a lot of power. This is way different than using a car battery or something like that. Um, so just keep all of those things in mind. But this, what I told you, should quiet the fan down to where it's a lot usable, especially in indoor environments. I've gotten accustomed to it, but especially when people are getting used to the RC hobby, or they're trying to find a power supply, that's quiet. There's just really none to be found. I do have some quieter models, but they're a lower wattage. They're like 575 watts. And again, like I said, there's a threshold that you can stay under, and you can keep these cool. But after you get over that threshold, which is in the 400 to 500 watt, you need that airflow. So I do have some 575 watt HP power supplies. If you need a quiet unit, those are the go-to unit. But if you need a workhorse and you plan to charge LiPo with 30, 40, 50, 60 amps, then you need a big boy power supply that's going to have a fan, and that's going to work for you. And these, like I said, they come out of servers. These are retired power supplies out of servers, so they've been doing this for years, running like this. And why you think they have so many years of life is because they were designed to run this way. And again, when you defeat the purpose of it, yeah, it'll work. But like I said, there is a possibility if you pull too much power from it, it could go into protection. And when you're charging a battery and the power supply goes in protection, it can damage some chargers, such as the iCharger, especially if you're charging aggressively and the power supply is going into protection. Um, It'll damage the charger. So, like I said, there's stuff you just really don't want to defeat the built-in safety, that I have, and it's not wise if you're going to pull a lot of power. If you got a little 300 watt charger or something like that, the lower end iCharger that are 200 watts, 350 watts, or 500 watts, you should be okay. Any higher than that, leave it alone, run it as is, or contact me and we can swap it out for a quieter unit if this is really something that's really bothering you and you need to have something a little bit more quiet. Then I can accommodate that if this fix doesn't work for your unit. Sorry for the inconvenience, but this is the fix for you. This will quiet it down. Contact me if you want to make other arrangements, but thanks for watching.